Some South Africans continue to be directed to my page because of the few videos I made about them, of course, displaying their ignorance. One of them is that some of them actually think that I am a Nigerian. I don't know what makes them think that way, but I understand. The apartheid inherited educational system has kept them backward. Because of that, I want to tell the rest of Africa how Nigeria helped South Africa to get out of bondage in the hands of the white minority. And so Nigeria, as the big brother it is, played a significant role in the freedom of South Africa. Now, how did it do this? It used diplomatic, economic, and some humanitarian strategies to fight the apartheid regime. On the diplomatic front, Nigeria used its membership and position in some international organizations like the UN, Commonwealth, and the Organization of African Unity to speak against the apartheid regime and to call for sanctions against the apartheid regime. That leads us to the economic strategies. Nigeria imposed an oil embargo on the South African regime. And then also Nigeria imposed sanctions on the South African regime. Nigeria did not allow South African goods into Nigeria. And as the economic heavyweight of Africa, that was a big blow to the apartheid government, and that forced them to hand over power to the black majority in 1994. Apart from that, Nigeria also used some humanitarian moves to force the South African regime or the apartheid regime to hand over power to the blacks in South Africa. How did it do that? Nigeria served as a safe haven for the freedom fighters back in South Africa. In fact, it provided shelter and it provided health care for the freedom fighters in South Africa. Apart from that, those who were exiled found a safe haven inside Nigeria. And then also, Nigeria also provided scholarships and education for the freedom fighters and their dependents in South Africa. Nigerian artists used their platforms to speak against the apartheid regime. And the Nigerian government also made sure that Nigeria boycotted any sporting events, including South Africa. All of these things put serious pressure on the apartheid regime and forced them to relinquish power. It is therefore not a surprise that Big Brother Niger is bigger and better than Big Brother Africa. South Africans can argue with their phones. If you are a South African watching this, the next time you meet a Nigerian, you should thank them. Thank them for what their leaders, their elders, their forefathers did for your country in order for you to be free today. And instead of just unaliving them on the streets like, common animals, you should give them respect as your big brothers, because without the help and support from Nigeria, the blacks in South Africa would have continued to be under apartheid and they would have continued to be enslaved by the white minority.